here at Green Street, Port Errol.
I'm waiting for a certain little lady to come by, and so you have.
Well, you better come into my studio because we want to hear fit you in a book, Bob. On you go, up you go.
Okay, doc.
Well, welcome to my wee hoosey here, my humble abode here in Port Errol. Bob?
Yeah, this is just what it's like in the northeast here. As soon as you come through the door, somebody sticks a cup in your hand and gets you fine and warm after being outside in the car.
You come, Bob.
Like,
Bob?
yes.
Formally welcoming you to Slane Studio here in Port Errol, Cruden Bay. I think our paths first crossed when you noticed that I started a website called Doric Future.
That's right, spot on.
And he contacted me, and he got me to write I got you to write a wee bit about your background, and I put it on my website. Well, just a wee bit of background here, Bob, right? Because nae everybody will ken what this is about, right? But 20 years ago, I did a little video at Cruden Bay with my little amateur camcorder, and it actually turned out nae bad, right? From there on started a little venture that I could see there was a lot of potential here for not only the beautiful environment that we live in, but the unique folk that bides here. So just under a year ago, I started my YouTube channel, and I've been doing lots of different kinds of videos, going all over the place, capturing bonny scenery and interviewing interesting folk. From that, I had an idea. Who are we, Bob? Who are we? Far actually have we come from? So I thought, Doric, we're in this land o' Doric. Here we're sitting in Buchan, in the middle of Buchan. So I started a wee website, and this is where you tapped into me, Bob.
That's right. And
you wrote to me and told me a wee bit about yourself. And now, Bob, here you are in person. I feel quite honoured actually that you've come all the way from, where have you come from?
where's you doing, Aberdeen?
To come to visit me here in our little hoosey here in Port Errol. Well, that's a wee bit about background of me, Bob. Right, that's where I've come from, and this is how I've attracted you to this house today, Bob. Woohoo! Right, now we're going to find out a bit about Bob, about his roots, and a bit about his creativity. Right, Bob, well, I'm basically a firm quine for along the coast there, Augustin Slanes, Augustin Firm, and now live next to the North Sea, and this is a very inspiring place for me to live and to work. Bob, can you tell us a wee bit about your background? You were telling me a minute ago about your parents, which I think is fascinating. Start with your dad, Bob. Start with your dad.
Okay, well, my dad was, he was a farm labourer, and then he became a horseman. And of course he had to, as the song said, he had to get the horseman's grip and word. That's a horseman's handshake, and the secret word the horseman used, which was supposedly could tame any horse. And they had a secret society, a bit like the Masons. And that's why they had a secret handshake, a grip, horseman's grip and word. And I asked him, I said, just a few years before he died, I said, you'd hear the horseman's grip and word, wouldn't you? And he said, aye. And I said, what is it? And he went, nah, Rab, I couldn't tell you that, he said. Go and stamp your leg.
I think, Bob, where did your father hail fae?
Round about the, well, his relatives are round about the Kintor area, so I presume he came from that area as well. But he always worked round about the farms, round about Inverurie and Benachie and round that sort of places in this part of the Aberdeenshire.
Do you would say, Bob, that you were inspired by your father's background?
More my mother's background, I would say, but my father, I mean, when I'm writing songs in Doric, I quite often use words that my father would have used, because he was far broader, because I'm a Toonser. I was brought up in the Toon, and my father was a country chiel, so I would say quite often I use words that my father would have used, like speared and things like that.
Speared?
Aye.
You speared?
Aye, spirit the boy, he would say. If you were wanting directions, he'd roll in the wind and say, spirit the boy. Because in Aberdeenshire, a man, no matter how old he is, he's a boy. So spirit the boy. So that was ask.
Ask. If you're spearing, you're asking.
Aye.
Bob, give us a burl of your guitar, okay?
Okay.
Because this is what this man does best. He is a Doric singer-songwriter.
And this is a song that I got the idea from my father. This is a true story my father told me. Well, it's true as far as I know. It's called The Fermals. No, it's not. It's called Twa Fermaloons. That's what it's called. We left the farm on Saturday for Inverurie Toon, and to the butcher's errands where I stopped up to buy a rune. Now me and Geordie scarcely had a pound a piece to spend, to buy twa beers, a pioch of chips and syne heed him again. Well, the barman brought twa pints of beer, and much to my surprise, when I handed o'er my £1 note, he gave me change of 5. Well, I looked out at Geordie, and he winked back to me. Drink up, said he, let's catch the bus and mark for Aberdeen. Now Geordie was a bloody fool and opened his big moo. Nana said he were fine, we didna need the likes of you. For though we're just twa country loons, we're nae as daft, you think, to spend we'd sell our own twa whores that we could spend on drink. We'll live wordly to another, and it soon got out of hand. Syne others in, the bar joined in, and a battle then began. But the barman cried the bobbies in, we got nae mair to drink, and we ended up in Lodgewack, spent the weekend in the Clink.
Bob, you just sing it as it is, didn't you? You just sing it as it is.
Well, when I started writing songs in Doric, I'd been singing in an American accent for about 40 years, and I decided, really stupid, I've got one of the best natural accents in the world, and I was going to start writing songs. And what I try to do is just write songs the way I speak, or the way my father spoke, because he spoke a lot of old-fashioned words that I didn't. So I get the right authentic flavour of Doric from my father and from my mother as well.
And the odd word, which we would say, some folk would say it was a bit of a swear word.
Nah, it's never a swear word.
But it's just part of the vocabulary that they used to speak in them days. They were harshed. They were harshed. That means, and we could actually sometimes just speak. You know, the fairmen, you know, lads, we had a slight coarseness to it. It's simply because they were harshed.
It's coarse.
It was wither. They had to put up with the wither, didn't they? The elements. It was hard work that they had to do.
They were just. They didn't think about it. They just spoke as they did. There was no pretences, and to emphasise, they used swear words a lot. But that happens in every walk of life. My father was, he was into pop music, I guess. He loved bothy ballads and corn kistles and things like that. But that's his heritage. He was brought up working in the farms, working in biding and sleeping in the bothies and making bros and things like that. So the sort of things he did. And the bothy ballads take him back to his youth, I think, when he worked in the fields and in the farms in the northeast of Scotland. And being a sort of, tell it as it is, firm child, so that when I went to the cinema, he never said, you're going to watch the cinema. He says, oh, you're a what to the 40s or you're Rab. Because he always called me Rab. He never called me Bob or Robert. Rab, that was it.
And he went to the picture house.
Oh, the pictures, aye. The picture house, aye.
There's too much hilarity here, Bob. Far too much hilarity. Let's go on to this interview, Bob. That's why that's why you're here today, to be interviewed, Bob. Right, Bob, you just tell me, this man has been on television.
Aye. Crime Watch.
Come on,
please,
Bob.
please, the Ginny Kyle show on Irish TV on Sky. Been on that a few times, but it's just TV. It's no big deal, is it?
What were you singing? What were you singing at that point, Bob?
I was singing country songs in my American accent. That's why I dropped the American accent and now I speak Doric. And I sing in Doric as much as I can.
Do you prefer to sing in Doric, Bob?
Aye.
Now, why would that be, Bob? Why would that be?
Because it's more natural. I can sing you a country song if you want, a bit of a country song. Just to let you hear.
Come on then, Lisa, quick bottle.
This old smoke-filled bar is something I'm not used to. I gave up my home to keep you satisfied, and I just called to let you know where I'll be living. It ain't much, but I feel welcome here inside.
Good Lord, I didn't know that we have a star here among us, Bob.
Very strange. I'm a star when I'm singing American, but when I was singing Doric, I was just a local chuchter, as simple as that. Shame on you. Start your feet.
Well, Bob, you've told us about your father's background and his roots. Could you tell us a wee bit about your mother?
Aye. My mother was for the country as well, but she came from Deeside, just up past Bankery between Strachan and Petarch, a place called the Shooting Hill. And she was from travelling people. She was a Stuart. And from her I got a slightly different accent, and because she was a traveller roots, she had a strange sort of mix of Aberdeenshire and Perthshire. And my mother met my father during the war. She was a land girl, the Women's Land Army, and that's where she met my father, working in the farms of North East Scotland. Towards the end of her life, she began to suffer a wee bit from dementia, and I wrote this song about travellers, very much with my mother in mind. And the first verse says it all. And it doesn't just refer to my mother, it refers to all the old people who used to tell us the stories and about the northeast of Scotland and the chances there are of things being lost. There's nothing much left new but stories. Oh, the old days and the way the things were. And the old folks' memories are fading so fast. Soon they'll be gone, just a thing of the past. It's no travelling that backs you to revel. It's just something that's bred in your bones. And even in hooses it's still in our minds. For we ken what we are, we're the travelling kind.
Bob, that brings a tear to my eye.
Is that the glass one or the main one?
Bob, you know what? Because part of what Doric Future is about, that we do not forget about the senior members of our community who have got a whole lot of history, who have got a whole lot of past that we need to be able to tap into, that we need to be able to get their stories so that we know where we have come from. So part of this is to bring this stuff into old folks' homes.
And schools.
And schools. Schools to inform the youngsters of where we've come from, the importance of keeping to the fore, of how we speak, how we speak, how the way that we think, and how that is creatively put together and what comes out in your type of creativity, and that's the written words of the song and the singing, Bob. You are to be commended.
Thank you. I try my best. I was looking at your website, Jill, and there's some really nice stuff on it. I like the contrast between the older folk and the idea of education for younger folk. But it's not enough just to have books and things about Doric and Scots. They really need to hear what it is. And if you can record the old folk speaking and let them hear how the folk speak, because if you write doing N-I-C-H-T, as in this, and you give that to a youngster to read, he will read it or she will read it as nicht. We don't say nicht in the northeast of Scotland. It's a much more Germanic sound. It's nicht. And that's...
Bob, you know what? Your singing, your Doric singing, the way that you speak, Bob, you know, what we're going to do with this Doric Future stuff from the website and from these videos, Bob, we are going to take you straight into the homes of elderly folks, into nursing homes, right? Well, that's one of the aims. It's not an easy job to do, Bob, but I am determined to do this because they will just love to hear the likes of you, Bob, this Doric man, and other folk like you, Bob, that will be personally speaking to them, so that they know that they're not forgotten about, Bob, and that their background, their culture, that we have gleaned from Bob, that we're carrying it on. So, well, Bob, there's my father, firmer, and you know what, Bob, one of the reasons that I do this, Bob, is for him, because my dad firmed his life in very difficult conditions next to the North Sea. It was hard, stiff grun, Bob. When my dad first started firming there, it was not an easy task. The climate was harsh, as it still is today. The climate's just nearly different. But he had a big starting point that the grun really hadn't been cultivated, right? My dad took the job on and he lovingly over decades put back-bracken work into cultivating that land. To the point that the beasts that we reared on the farm, they were all fed from stuff that was grown from that he had planted, from that soil that he had cultivated over decades. I was there as a young quine working with my dad on the farm. And that indeed is a story in its own right, Bob.
I bet it is.
It's a story in its own right. I would class it near enough to a modern day sunset song. But you'll hear more of that later. And I think that I was saying earlier, Bob, about sometimes I amaze myself about if I think I'm going to do something, I will endeavour to do it. And I'll tell you, it comes from this man, from his roots and from his determination, that no matter what battle that you were facing, you had to carry on. You had to carry on. You had a job to do, and it was all about survival. In that day, and periods gone back, it was all about survival. And I still have got that instilled into me to this day. Whatever you're going to do, just get on and get the job done.
Some folk would say that Doric was dead and buried and we should just forget all about it, but we're not forgetting all about it. as long as folk like me and Jill are here, and a lot of other people in the northeast of Scotland as well, we're keeping it going. And there is a big resurgence. We've now got a Doric board, and we've got the Northeast Language Board. So it's all go, folks. It's an exciting time for Doric and Scots.
We're just going to see far this takes us, till it, Bob, far this Doric thing's going to take us.
Oh, well, I just contacted you because we share a common interest, and that's Doric and keeping Scots and Doric on the go, rather than letting it just die, as we used to say. Oh, you just said that Doric, maybe we try to get some diversity, but if people, only if people are tuned in. Doric's for anybody that wants to listen and use their lugs and honour their heritage. Because I've spoken to young guys and they say, oh, I don't want to listen to that diddly music. And I say to them, are you Scottish? And they say, aye. I say, you're proud to be Scottish? And they say, aye. And then I say, well, why are you disrespecting your own language and your own culture? And they go, oh, right enough.
Bob, before we get you to do a wee bit more singing, Bob, it's just to say that, you know, this area of Aberdeenshire that we live in, right, Doric originally, Doric culture background, we're in Buchan, which is an area in its own right, next to the North Sea, but we're also a bit of landmass as well, so we're a bit of both really. Country, fairment plus fishing. But this area and then the whole of Aberdeenshire is rapidly changing, and it has been changing for the last 40 years. I think one of the biggest changes has been the oil, when oil came to Aberdeenshire. We live in Cruden Bay, and the pipeline from the North Sea, the oil is actually piped ashore here at Cruden Bay. So it's quite significant where you're sitting here, Bob, the day. Oil is piped from the Forties field here.
It's not going to blow up, is it, any minute?
But what I'm trying to say is this area has changed a lot. For the better, for the worse, nobody kens. But change is here, and it's quite exciting actually. And I think what I'm trying to say that our culture and the Doric Buchan culture, it's great that there is this revival, as you say, Bob, on at the moment, because we've got a lot of different folk coming from all over the world coming on board here, and it's lovely, it's exciting, it's refreshing, and I think that we can all just work together, Bob. Okay. You know what, Bob? Here, it's never going to be the same as it was, and I mean that's just progress. But
well, but the thing is, the people, the incomers, what we used to call foreigners, but they're now part of the scenery in Aberdeen. The Lithuanians and the Polish people and the Dutch and the Germans, they're coming here and they're settling down, and their kids are going to school, and hey presto, their kids are coming home speaking Doric.
So Doric, the way that we kent it in the past, is probably going to stay there in the past, but it will still be very relevant. But I think part of this Doric future, where I've got in my little head here, is that it is quite exciting, because there will be a new wave of Doric, because we are in this together. Folk that's been here for a long time, and folk that's coming in and about, where everything is relevant today, and it's all being encompassed. Well, Bob, we've spoken about the past, we've spoken about the present, but what is the name of my project? And my website is Doric Future. Now, the exciting thing about this whole thing of being videoed and of being documented, now wait for this, Bob, right? We are in a prime position in this period of time in history that you, Bob, will be seen in 100 years' time? Push the fast forward button, Bob. In 100 years' time, people will be able to see you. There will be a means for people to see you, to hear you, and in 500 years' time, Bob, you'll still be up there singing your hair tooting Doric.
It's actually great, Jill, that people like yourself and a few other people that I know in the North East are doing their best to preserve it, and they're saving people like me speaking, the older generation speaking, so people in the future can hear. And as you said, maybe 100 years from now, people will still be able to focus in on this and hear how we spoke and what we were talking about, whereas 100 years ago, that's all gone. Rock the wind and the clear day's done, blaze the clouds, he'll stir gaudy o'er the bay. But there's mair nor a rock wind blawin' through the great glen o' the world a day. It's a thought that would gar oor rottens a' the rogues that gang gallus fresh and gay. Tak the road and seek their lonings, your rel ploys to sport and play. Now that was a song written by a man called Hamish Henderson from the School of Scottish Studies. A lot of people think that should be Scotland's national anthem. It won't be, because it's in Scots, and most Scots don't speak Scots anymore. We've got to educate them.
Right, to finish up this, Bob, singer-songwriter in Doric. Okay, Bob, we're maybe going to finish up with something that you have written? Possibly?
Oh, I no bother.
What are you going to sing for us, Bob?
This is a song I wrote about 3 years ago. It's called Meet Me on the Moor. It's a nice little love song. Meet me on the moor, my love. Will you meet me on the moor? And I'll lay you down, say canny, amongst the wild summer flowers. But the wild flower in creation could be lovelier than you. Meet me on the moor, my love, and I swear I'll lie be true. At the top edge of the moor, where it's sae thickly wooded, it's a perfect place for us to meet, sae quiet and secluded, where I will tuck ye in my arms and kiss your lips sae softly, amongst the trees where none can see, with you, my bonny lassie. Oh, meet me on the moor, my love. Will you meet me on the moor? And I'll lay you down, say canny, amongst the wild summer flowers. But the wild flower in creation could be lovelier than you. Meet me on the moor, my love, and I swear I'll lie be true.
Goodness, Bob, I've always wanted to. One of my things I've wanted to do.
That was funny. The girls tell me that.
Is to sit with a guitar on my knee, because you know what, Bob, I am not in the least bit musical. I would do a wee bit of singing, you know, a wee bit. We Cruden Bay Folk Club, right? And you're in Aberdeen.
Aberdeen Folk Club, occasionally.
Perfect, right, it's a punt for that. Right, Bob, I admire people who are musical. I more admire people who can write their own material. And I'll tell you, you do both beautifully, Bob.
Thank you.
We'll have to let us ken about your recording, Bob.
You mean this one here? This CD called Meet Me on the Moor, which is a song I've just sung for Jill. and Steve. And this was released in 2017. You can get them at a gig if you see me singing somewhere. I've generally got a few copies hidden about my person. And failing that, you can get them from my website at www.nightfolk.com. That's with a K, K-N-I-G-H-T, nightfolk.com. £10 plus post and package. Is that a good commercial?
Perfect. Always.
That's rare.
But that's what it's about, Bob, because we spend hours, days, weeks doing what we do. So we have really to promote ourselves a wee bit. And you can, in the northeast, it's the most hardest thing for us to do. It is the most hardest thing for us to do, Bob. But
I thought you were getting Deony hair.
Bob, you don't only have recorded music, but you're also a writer.
Yes, I've been known to scribble a page or two. I released a book last year through Devon Press out in Turriff. It's a book called Fairy Tales and Traveller Tales, 26 short stories. And you can get a copy from me, again, if you want. Or you can get it from Devon Press or their website, unclebooks.com, Scotland. You must put in Scotland, otherwise you'll get the University of Northern Colorado Bookshop. We'll walk hand in hand amongst the bonny broom and heather, and I'll slip my arm around your waist to draw us close together. In darky time you turn to me, I will kiss you tenderly, to let you ken I love you and you mean the world to me. Oh, meet me on the moor, my love, will you meet me on the moor? And I'll lay you down, say canny, amongst the wild summer flowers. But no wild flower in creation could be lovelier than you. Meet me on the moor, my love, and I swear I'll be true. Meet me on the moor, my love, and I swear I'll be true.
Well, Bob, little did I know that when you came through this door here, my little hoosey here, that, my goodness, we've got a Doric celebrity. I can't even say that word. He's famous in Doric land.
Infamous.
He's written his own book. Bob, briefly, that book, tell us about it.
It's called Fairy Tales and Traveller Tales. It's a lot of it is written in standard English, but the dialogue is generally written in Doric, and there's 2 or 3 actual stories written in Doric completely, so it may be a bit hard going for non-Doric speakers, but he'll manage, no bother.
Well, Bob, you goodness, I just remembered, I have done a little bit of singing, Bob. A night I went out in the dark and I was thinking about my father and about where I'd come from, and the words just came to me in the dark. It was pitch black and it was bloomin' cold. My fingers were bloomin' frozen, but that's how it goes here. And the words just came. I sang the wee song, and it's under the wee video of my own Doric Roots. Next time, Bob, I would like you to come back so that we can put a wee tune to it.
You're asking me to be creative.
He is creative. Bob, we are part of a big Doric family. And haste you back.
Thank you very much, I will. Bye bye love, bye bye happiness, hello loneliness, think I'm going to cry. Bye bye love, Bye bye happiness. What a fool I feel. Hello loneliness. I think I'm gonna cry. Bye bye love goodbye. Could I get my jacket before I go, please?
No,
It's cold out here.
Good night, Bob.
Good night.